Welcome to This Day in His Story, created by American Heritage Worldwide, a reminder that every day holds something new to learn. Did you know the first Thanksgiving lasted 3 days and had 140 people for dinner? Join us as we devour the real meaning of Thanksgiving and discover what the Pilgrims and Indians were so thankful for.
Welcome back to the deep dive. So, if you are getting ready for, well, the biggest travel and food holiday of the year, this is definitely the deep dive you're going to need.
Or if you just want to sound really informed at the dinner table.
Exactly. We've got this fantastic stack of sources in front of us, and they dig into the true complicated origins of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we're going way past the elementary school plays here.
We really are. We're talking historical letters, confidential notes between presidents, and even some surprising facts about the main course.
And that mix is what makes this so interesting. We're looking at almost 400 years of history. You've got Edward Winslow's eyewitness account from 1621.
A primary source.
A primary source, right. And then that transitions into presidential proclamations, and then all the way to modern culture, like, why do we eat so much turkey?
So our mission today is to unpack all of that. What really happened at that first colonial gathering, and how did a 3-day religious feast jump, 2 centuries to become a fixed national holiday?
It's a great story. So yeah, let's unpack it. And there's really only one place to begin.
1621.
The very beginning.
Okay, so the famous, and I think often misunderstood, original Thanksgiving were in the autumn of 1621, Plymouth Colony, present-day Massachusetts.
And the first detail that probably jumps out to people is just how long it was.
Right. This wasn't a quick afternoon meal. The sources say it lasted for 3 full days.
Which tells you right away this was a major event. And the sources are also very specific about who was there, which is key. We know there were about 50 pilgrims.
And crucially, they weren't alone. They were joined by the local Wampanoag people who were led by their king, Massasoit.
And the numbers there are pretty staggering when you think about it. 90 Wampanoag men joined those 50 pilgrims.
That ratio, 90 to 50, that's so different from the pictures we usually see. It really speaks to how much they needed to cooperate just to survive.
Absolutely. But the reason for the event, the why, is deeply rooted in the pilgrims' religious beliefs. They were separatists.
So this wasn't just a party.
Not at all. For them, fasting and Thanksgiving were actual religious holy days. They were held for, specific moments of God's providence.
Like the end of a drought or a plague.
Exactly. Or, in this case, a really successful harvest. These were treated like an extra Sabbath, dedicated to prayer.
And the most incredible thing is that almost everything we know about this specific event comes down to one single document.
A letter written by Edward Winslow. He's so central to this story. He wasn't just some guy. He was a leader who came over on the Mayflower, signed the compact.
He was there.
He was there. And he's the one who requested this day of Thanksgiving after they had finally brought in their harvest.
And the details in that letter are just amazing. He writes to a friend in England and says, our harvest gotten in, and that the governor sent 4 men on fowling.
So we know for sure they were hunting birds. It probably included wild turkey, but definitely other fowls too.
And he also gives this incredible detail about what the Wampanoag brought to the feast.
Yes. He says Massasoit came with his 90 men, and they did not show up empty-handed.
No, they did not. The letter says the Indians went out and killed 5 deer, which they brought to the plantation and bestowed on our governor.
5 deer. For about 140 people over 3 days. That's a massive contribution. It really shows how collaborative the whole thing was.
And Winslow just ends that part of the letter so beautifully. He says he wishes his friend could be partakers of our plenty. That one source is just, it's the foundation for everything.
It really is.
So that brings us to the big jump. How do we get from this very local, religious 3-day feast in 1621?
Which was really about survival.
Right, about survival. How does that become a national American holiday, always on a Thursday in November?
Well, it was not a straight line. It took a really long time and a lot of political effort. The Continental Congress did proclaim a national day of Thanksgiving in 1777.
But that was a one-time thing.
Just one-off, yeah. It was during the Revolutionary War.
Then George Washington steps in. The sources have this great detail about a confidential letter he wrote to James Madison in August of 1789.
Right. He was just a few months into his presidency. And he's not just declaring a holiday. He's asking Madison for advice on how to even approach the Senate about it.
So he's being careful about his presidential power.
Very cautious.
Yeah.
But he did succeed, at least for a moment. He issued a proclamation on October 3rd, 1789, and he set the date, Thursday, the 26th day of November.
He established the idea.
He did.
Yeah.
But here's the really critical part. The sources say his proclamation failed to be maintained by future presidents.
So it just lapsed for decades. Why?
Well, the sources suggest that as the country grew, especially with the divide between North and South, a national religious holiday got politically messy. It really wasn't until the country's biggest crisis that it came back.
The Civil War.
The Civil War. And that leads us to the hero of this part of the story, Sarah Josepha Hale.
A truly fascinating person.
She really was. Most people know her for writing Mary Had a Little Lamb, but she was this incredibly persistent editor and writer.
And she saw National Thanksgiving as a way to, what, unify the country?
Exactly.
Yeah.
To heal a fractured nation. And she advocated for it for 17 years.
17 years. Wow.
And she finally succeeded. She convinced Abraham Lincoln, right in the middle of the Civil War, to make it a permanent national holiday.
That timing is just so powerful, using a holiday about gratitude to try and bind the nation together in its darkest hour.
And Lincoln, in his 1863 decree, he connects it right back to those Pilgrim roots. He calls it a day of thanksgiving and praise to our beneficent Father who dwelleth in the heavens.
That language is so specific. He set the date for the last Thursday in November.
Right. And of course, we know today it's the fourth Thursday. That was a later tweak, mostly for economic reasons to standardize the holiday season.
It's just incredible to think about the political will it took, you know, from Washington's effort to Hale's long campaign and then Lincoln's wartime decree.
All to take one local harvest festival and make it a pillar of the entire nation.
Okay, let's pivot from the history books to the dinner table, because you can't talk Thanksgiving without talking about the turkey.
The star of the show.
How did that happen? How did this one bird become the symbol?
Well, it had a very powerful early fan, which certainly didn't hurt.
Benjamin Franklin.
None other. This is where we get the fantastic quote about the national bird. He didn't want the bald eagle.
No, he thought the eagle was a bird of bad moral character. He wanted the turkey.
He called it a much more respectable bird and, quote, a true original native of America.
That's amazing. And that endorsement, plus the fact that turkeys are big enough to feed a crowd.
And they were plentiful. It just sort of became the go-to. And the scale of it today is just mind-boggling. Americans eat more than 46 million turkeys on Thanksgiving.
46 million. That number says it all.
It really does.
The sources also have some fun trivia connecting the turkey to other parts of American history.
Oh, yeah. The space one's my favorite.
After Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin walked on the moon, one of their first meals back included roasted turkey.
Served in foil packets. Turkey in space. A true American native makes it to the moon.
And back here on Earth, you have the annual presidential pardon.
A much more modern tradition, but one everyone expects to see now.
And for the real trivia buffs, the Guinness record for the biggest turkey ever is 86 pounds.
Can you imagine trying to cook that thing?
No. And my favorite fact from the sources is the biological one.
The gobble.
Only male turkeys gobble. Females make more of a clicking sound.
That is a fact guaranteed to impress someone at dinner.
Okay, so we've done the history, the politics, the trivia, but now let's circle back to the real core of it all, which is just gratitude.
Yes. The whole point of the holiday, from the Pilgrim's desperate feast to Lincoln's call for unity, it's all built on thankfulness.
And the sources push us to connect that history to our own lives, you know, our own traditions.
Exactly. And the material even gives us this really profound scriptural insight on gratitude that goes way beyond just the 1621 feast.
It's from the Doctrine and Covenants.
Yes, 78.19. It talks about this incredible promise that's tied to having a thankful heart.
The text is really powerful. And he who receiveth all things with thankfulness shall be made glorious, and the things of this earth shall be added unto him, even 100-fold, yea, more.
That's a sentiment that just elevates the whole idea. It's not just about remembering a historical event. It frames thankfulness as this active, powerful force in your life.
It's the thread connecting the pilgrims, worried about winter, to us today, reflecting on our own lives. The essence is the same.
It hasn't changed at all.
What a journey. We started with Edward Winslow's letter and about fowling and 5 deer. We tracked Washington's early attempt, Sarah Josepha Hale's incredible persistence.
And Lincoln using it to try and heal a nation at war with itself. It's a collision of survival, politics, and this deep spiritual idea.
So what does it all mean for you this year? We went from a religious observance for survival to a huge national holiday with football, turkey pardons, even moon food.
Quite an evolution.
It is. So based on all these sources, especially Lincoln's very deliberate phrasing of thanksgiving and praise, here's a final thought for you to mull over. What is the enduring tension between Thanksgiving's deeply spiritual and religious roots and its evolution into this huge, mostly secular national feast? Is it possible for a holiday to honor those origins while still being inclusive for everyone in a really diverse society?
That's a great question to think about.
Something to consider as you start the holiday season.
Indeed. Go forth and be well informed.
We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.
Thank you for joining us for this day in His story. May the lessons of yesterday inspire you to see God's hand today and to play your part in His story now. For more faith-based learning, visit ahsworldwide.org, the home school for faith and family.